Hey guys, in this video I want to talk about taking risks. So I'm Daniel Norton, a photographer here in New York. I make videos like this about philosophy and technique and photography and the arts, and if you're interested in that kind of stuff, go ahead and subscribe. So let's get to it. I was actually thinking, if you guys watch enough demos with Seth, he often says, light is predictable, which is 100% true, and it's actually an excellent statement. I love that, and I totally got to steal that sometimes because it's true, right? Once you understand light, you can make it do what you want because it is predictable. But what I think is interesting, or what I was thinking was interesting, was that light is predictable, but you don't have to be, right? I think that part of what inspired this, I don't think that this part of what inspired this is that I get a lot of requests, very specific requests. They are usually something like, Daniel, can you do a video using this to do this? And those requests, usually come with a little explanation, right, of why they want to know that or whatever. And it falls into one of two categories. One is that they think they want to buy that thing, and that thing's expensive, so they don't want to buy it unless they know it can do the thing they want it to do. So, Daniel, do that thing for me so I know that it'll work. Or it's, I just bought these things and I'm not happy with what I'm getting. I thought it would be my solution and it's not working, so can you show me how to do that? And I think that that's great. I mean, the resource, I wouldn't put stuff out there if I didn't think it was good for you guys to use it. I think the resource of people sharing is amazing, and I always say that, and I think that that's great, right? But I do think that it can create this strange dynamic where people are afraid to just try stuff, If somebody says to me, Daniel, I have an umbrella and a softbox. Can you tell me what the difference would be if I made a portrait? Well, why don't you just take a portrait with both of them and see the difference, right? Well, it's only pixels, right? I mean, I can't for a moment fathom this because and there was, believe me, there was photo books that I poured over when I was learning, and you ask photographers that have been around. So this is not, I'm not saying, people online but I feel like it's exaggerated now because there's such a connection, right? Like, I bought books that had lighting diagrams, which after a bit I was like, well, these lighting diagrams are pretty useless, and I always say this because even though people love to see lighting diagrams, they really, unless you're in that exact same situation, a lighting diagram is kind of almost useless, except for as a tool to see how you do it yourself. And I think that's the use of these things, right? When you watch a video with me, let's say, and you see me do a certain technique, that is not meant necessarily for you to be like, okay, I'm going to put the lights exactly and set my camera exactly, because that's the other question I get a lot is camera settings, which, they're the right settings for the thing. But I know that a lot of photographers like that stuff because it's something to grab onto early on, right? So it's fine. I'm not trying not to seem too condescending. But I think that those things are not that important, right? In fact, I learned this very early on. You probably noticed when I do my live streams, I very rarely change the camera settings. And I actually got that from Joe McNally. Not that he told me to do that, but I watched Joe do many live presentations, and every presentation he did, he always had the camera set the same way. It was always 400, he was doing speed light stuff, 400 ISO, 5.6, 250, or whatever the shutter speed was for the camera. And then if he wanted to do a drag or something, he changed the shutter speed, and that'd be the lesson, right? But for all the light shaping stuff, for all the regular flash stuff, he maximum sync speed, 400 ISO because he was using small flashes and didn't want to stress them out, I guess, and 5.6. 5.6 is a good midpoint. It's a good place to shoot. I usually shoot around f8, so whatever. But the idea was that whenever I'd watch these seminars, I'd be sitting there watching Joe do this amazing stuff, and he'd be putting softboxes, and you think somebody would ask a question, I've been thinking well, Joe, how'd you realize that it's a good idea to put the box like that? Or Joe, how'd you, whatever. But people would multiple times throughout the session, somebody who'd been there from the beginning would always raise their hand, and he would answer, and they'd be like, what are your camera settings? Who cares? And that's the reason why I say that, because I feel like there's a point where you realize that stuff is just, it matters, of course. But when you're lighting and stuff, there's so much more that's important to that. And that's why a lot of times when I talk about lighting, I talk about things relative. The flash on the subject is set on exposure. So if I'm shooting at f8, it's set at f8. That's what really matters. It doesn't matter if it's f8, it matters that it's on exposure. This light that's lighting me, right, because I'm being lit, is the proper exposure for my face. So it's on exposure. It doesn't matter what the camera set. I don't know what that camera set. Probably a 4 or 5, 6 maybe. This one back here, there is actually a light back here. Not the little dots, but there's a light in the back of my room. Otherwise, it would be dark in here at night. Although during the day, it'd probably be bright, which is during the day now if I open the window. That's a whole other thing. That light is about a stop under. So actually, the background is and actually, I mean, you can see. Let's see if I can do this. Right, this wall, right, is actually the exact same color as the back, right, and you can see the difference, right. So by putting the light on the wall, which is basically lit, it's the same distance from the light as I am. So the wall's basically on exposure. That wall's about a stop under. So that's what it does. It makes it darker and murkier, and I also have the white balance on that on a warmer scale. So, whatever. But that's what matters, right? It doesn't matter the actual settings. Oh boy, tangent. Okay, back. I think we need to be less afraid. This is what I'm saying. When I say don't be predictable, like whenever I go, I mean, maybe it's obvious. I'm not sure if it's obvious or not. One of the things that I do, so when you see my videos that I do for Adorama every Tuesday, hopefully you watch those videos, the shorter videos basically, as I call them, on set, the actual show, that those videos are condensed and simplified techniques that I work out. So, I go into a situation and I work it out a bit, and then I do the video to show you guys, how I did it or whatever, and I go in there with an idea. When I do the hour and a half long ones, I mean, I have an idea clearly, but I like to freeform those and let those flow. And the reason why I do that, and one of the reasons why I like to do that, is because I want you guys to see that, like, I'm just kind of just going with it, and are there a lot of bad shots that happen during those? Yes, I'm building up. I shoot more shots than I need to because I'm trying to show you guys, like, the various stages. A lot of times, if I was actually doing that thing, I wouldn't take the 5 terrible shots up to the decent one because I would know, I've been doing this long enough that I know, like, kind of what's going to work because the light is predictable. But I want you guys to see, it's important for me when you see all those bad shots to understand that, like, bad shots happen. And if you're not sure what the light's going to do when it's facing this way, then take a shot and see what it does. Don't be like, oh, well, hold on. I don't want to take this picture because what if it's bad? No, I mean, you should do that. You should take a lot of pictures. Take the pictures. But I will say this. Don't, this is kind of referred to as spray and pray. People disparage that way of shooting. No, the thing about that is that doesn't even mean don't take a lot of pictures. I mean, I think people interpret it that way. The thing with spray and pray is that you're just shooting until you get something and not really knowing what you're doing. I think that's how, at least that's how I interpret it, as being a bad thing, right? For general purposes, I mean, I shoot a lot of pictures when I'm shooting a subject. Once I get the lighting stuff right, I shoot a lot because I want to catch little movements in between. Things might go out of focus. Why wouldn't I shoot a lot of pictures? But if you feel more like, oh no, I can only shoot 5 pictures, that's fine too. That's the way you shoot. But the thing with the spray and pray, again, going back to that, is that, and this all ties in, is that you don't want to just randomly shoot, and if you get a good shot, be like, yeah, I got a good shot. What you want to do is shoot a bunch, make adjustments, keep track of what you're doing so that you can repeat it, right? Because, like I said at the beginning, light is predictable. So even though you don't know, right? Let's say you have these 3 techniques that you've watched videos, or you've read books, or you bought diagrams, or looked at and found them online. Okay, one is here, and it gives you, Rembrandt light, and this one here gives you a butterfly, whatever. Even if you have those, right? Those are in your pocket, right? Those are your safe ones. And actually, I've done this live. I do that one that's 3 safe things. Grow from that, right? That's the thing, right? You have those, so you know, right? So you get the light there, and you're like, okay, I know this will look pretty decent if I do this. Boom, you do it. Now that's it. You got it. Now mess around. Don't be afraid to try things. Oh, I saw the video and they used an umbrella to do this. Well, try it with a softbox. See what the difference is for yourself in actual use on your set, the way that you shoot with the umbrella that you own, with the softbox you own, because all that will make a difference. All that stuff is relevant, and you want to know your tools inside and out. And your tools are your tools, right? So no matter how many times you see me do something, unless you have the exact same stuff as me and more or less are in a similar space, you're going to have to adjust. So you want to learn to go with the flow, to be unpredictable, to try things, to mess around, to see it go bad, but understand why it's going bad and understand how to fix it, right? if you look at something and you're like, I mean, sometimes you see me say this. I mean, actually, if you watch the Twitch stream today, because if I didn't mention this already in this video, I have a Twitch channel. I probably should say the name of it when I say this, but you could, Daniel Norton Photographer, I'll put a link. I'm going to edit some shots that have, I knew as I was shooting it, and I say in the video, if you watch the video, when the video finally goes on around me, you'll see it. I say, oh, the softbox is in my shot, and I'm okay with that because I know that I'm doing that for a reason, right? It's over there, and it's not crossing my subject, and blah, blah, blah. So, like, that's the kind of thing that I've learned that I can do and get away with because I've done it, right? But the first time I did it, I probably didn't 100% realize, as I hoped. I kind of figured, and now I know. Okay, so if I can do this and it's not really going to affect my shot, I'd rather do that than worry about something else. Because ultimately, you want to get the best shot you can get, right? And the way that you're going to, I mean, I hate to use the word happy accident because that's also kind of disparaging, but the idea is that you keep playing and working and trying things until you get something that's really cool, that's interesting, that's yours, and then you put that down. And then that's your predictable shot, right? And every time you're adding, you're trying, you're messing with things. What does this gel do? What does that do? What if I change the white balance? What if I use this modifier? What if I use this in a way that you wouldn't normally use it? First of all, you're probably not the first person to do that, which is awesome, because I can't tell you the number of times I've done something and then you start talking to other photographers and they're like, oh yeah, I used to do that. It's like, we've all done everything, right? So it's like, you will eventually do stuff, but keep track of what it is that you're doing so you can get the predictable results, but be unpredictable by trying things that are different. Don't just do the prescribed things people say. Do stuff that you think is interesting and do it for a reason. Think about it. Think about, okay, well, I know that shadows do this. I know that light does this. I know this is the feeling that these colors give me. So use those. And if it's less than successful, then make note of that too. Not everything's going to be perfect. I've said this before too. You shoot until it's good and then you keep shooting until it's bad. And I say that because that's kind of like you work your way up to get the shot that you want. Once you've got it, you shoot it. Then you start adding more crap to it and trying different things to see if you can get it something that's even more interesting. And then if you go so far that it just kind of kills the shot, well, now you've learned something, If you add a couple things and it adds to it, you're like, I know that. You add a few more things and it looks terrible, you've learned something too. If you only do the things that you know work or that you see somebody do and it works, you'll never be able to push it forward and never be able to move forward. You want to be able to push and move and change, be unpredictable, create stuff that's interesting. As you work with subjects more and more, because I get this question a lot too, you'll get subjects will trust you. You'll be like, okay, I got this clean headshot that you need. Let's try something. Did you ever want to do something more dark and moody? Did you want to do something? And then people will be like, oh yeah, I want to try that. You try it, and then if it's terrible, be like, oh, well, all right, that didn't work, but that's fine because they already got the shot they wanted. So, anyways, I just thought of that thing, and I was like, this is so interesting because he says that a lot, and it's 100% true, right? But I also think that I've seen a lot of people shoot, I've seen a lot of people's books, I've seen a lot of work, and I think that people do fall into this category where they just keep doing the same thing over and over, and I fear that the reason they do it, I should say, I feel that the reason they do it is because of fear. Because they're like, oh no, I know that. In fact, I'll tell one more story before I. So, and I don't want to give any names or whatever, but I was in school, we'll say, and there was a phenomenal photographer at school with me, and they wanted to do certain types of stuff, and they were doing it and whatever, and they were, the teacher was like, oh, it's all right. And then one time they did a thing, and the teacher was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Literally, for the rest of that class, they did the exact same thing, with slight variations. And then every time the teacher was like, oh my God, that's because they found the thing the teacher liked, so they just kept doing it. And to me, it was like, okay, you're going to get a better grade or get high praise in the class, but you're not pushing yourself. You're literally doing the exact same thing because you know it's the thing, right? You know that kids like pizza, so you're serving them pizza every day. But when they get older, they're only going to like pizza instead of like having a palette of food, Like you learn and you try things, and you see what you like. Maybe you like green beans, maybe you don't, but you don't know until you try it, And that's the thing. Clearly I'm hungry now, right? So this pizza and green beans. Probably not a good combo, but you know what I'm saying. Although, that's the kind of thing they'd give you in school lunch, right? It'd be like a piece of pizza and then like green beans on the side. I was like, put those things together. It's kind of what, I don't know. I'm not sure what school lunches are these days, but that's what it was when I was in school. Anyways, it was always green beans. I don't know why green beans. I guess maybe they're cheap. And they're definitely good for you. And delicious. So, in any case, be creative, be unpredictable, but once you've done something that works or doesn't work, learn from it so that you can use the predictability of light to recreate things and to not fall down the same problems. Again, that's how you grow. That's how you learn. But do it yourself. Don't be so afraid of failure. Like when people, one final thing I'll say is when people would always ask me what gear they should buy, they would be, I'd say start with this, start with that, whatever. In fact, I did a video about starting lighting kits. I'll see if I can put a thingy for that. I always say to people, and it's nuts. There was actually an article written about it where they were talking about how it would, I help people lighting, and somebody said they thought it was funny that like I was working for a store, Adorama, but I would constantly tell people not to buy things, and that was one of the things that Adorama, was one of our trademarks, rules, I don't know what you want to call it, was that we wanted to create an environment where we were just selling things to people. It was like they were a retail store. When they brought me in to start a professional division and to be the professional in the store to like advise people, this is before YouTube, before I was on YouTube. Mark Wallace was already on YouTube at that point. My whole point there was like if somebody came in and they were like, I need this, and they didn't need it, I was supposed to say, you don't need that. Because we wanted to let people understand that there's a reason why you go to a place like Adorama, even if you call them on the phone or whatever, hopefully you're going to get somebody who's going to help you solve your problem, whether that means making a sale or not. If you say, oh, I need, the most common thing I would always get is it's people shooting product, and they'd be like, I'm shooting this product inside this white tent. Oh, God, those tents were the worst. And they're dark, so I need more lights. And anybody who just is watching this now that understands what the answer to that is, put that in the description. Like, well, white tent, right? Product inside, shooting lights at it. Dark, right? I need more lights. I can tell you right now, they don't need more lights. What's the answer there? I want to see what people say what the answer is, because I hope if you guys watch enough of this, you understand. The sheer amount of people that I was able to show that then became customers that bought better cameras later, or that bought other things through Adorama, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually some people even became like more professional, bought better lights and stuff. Because they had talked to me, early on. Now these salesmen became, the actual salespeople I remember selling to them, they became regular customers because we talked to them like that. And it was, we thought kind of revolutionary. I thought it was like the, I don't know if you've ever seen, I guess it was Miracle on 31st Street? 34th Street? I would say 31st Street, even though it's 34th Street. I should know this. I live in New York. But, when Santa basically is like, oh, we don't have this, but you can go to the other store to get it. That's always been my philosophy. It's like, honesty will always create a better community. And community is what we were going for, and that's what we created over the years being there. Totally going in a different direction now, but the point is that people need to try stuff. You can't just like throw product at things or throw techniques or throw things at things. You need to understand, and the only way you can understand really is to do it yourself. Doing it yourself is how you will figure it out. Yeah, you're going to reach times where you need to like, okay, now I need some advice, I need whatever. Yes, of course. But if you are capable of doing it, it's right in front of you, then just try it. What have you really got to lose? So, anyways, that was all over the place, but I think there was a thread that went through the whole thing here. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and ring the bell. You'll get all the notifications from this channel, and I'll see you next time.